Well, hello everybody. My name is MayKing Tsang. My first name is MayKing, and today we're going to be looking at how to harness live tweeting to generate FOMO for your business. Now, a little bit about me. My name is MayKing Tsang. My first name is MayKing, and I'm on all the socials as MayKing T. Making tea, get it? And I call myself the FOMO creator. And that means that I am a professional live tweeter, live social media reporter, and a live content creator. And I also happen to like my tea puns as well. Now, a professional live tweeter, what does that mean? I'm hired by conferences to tweet on their account. And at in-person conferences, I can tweet on average 1,200 tweets a day. At virtual conferences, I can tweet on average 546 a day. And I'll explain the difference between the two a little later on. Now, I have had clients who have had 249 followers on Twitter, and I've managed to reach 45,000 people on their behalf, all the way through to accounts that have 25,000 followers and reaching 31 million throughout the day. My proudest moment is helping a client to trend on the same day as International Women's Day last year in the UK. I've also helped to help hashtags trend in the US and Australia. And because I tweet so quickly, Twitter thinks I'm a robot sometimes, and they often block me until I get some of the attendees to send a Twitter supporter tweet and say, do you not know who MayKing T is? And then they unblock me after 20 minutes. And here's Andrew and Pete, one of my clients. I'm going to talk more about them a little later. They're just telling me that part of my FOMOing helped them to actually gain clients for their conference. I'm also a social media reporter. On the far left-hand side there, this is me with my white trilby hat interviewing an attendee at a conference in Manchester. In the bottom left-hand corner, I'm interviewing a guy in San Diego at Social Media Marketing World. That was in 2018. And over on the right-hand side there, I do a lot of interviews online. And so you can see here that at the Social Pulse Summit LinkedIn version, this is me interviewing Neil Schaefer, who is also speaking at this conference as well, the Twitter edition. And in the bottom right-hand corner, I also worked with Agora Pulse UK Ireland to interview these gorgeous people as part of a networking event called the Linking Out Club. I'm also a live content creator. And on the far left-hand side, when we were allowed to go out and play, I created lots of tweets and I converted them into LinkedIn posts. So with 22 speakers speaking on that day, I generated 22 LinkedIn posts for them, and we tweeted. I also created Instagram stories as well to gain more publicity and visibility for that particular conference. On the right-hand side, early this year, I helped Melissa Love, what a beautiful name, from Design Space Co. to help people with her Pivot Your Business Challenge. So because of what's happening in the world at the moment, some people wanted to pivot their businesses. Melissa helped to do that with a challenge, and collectively with Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and tweets, these are just a few of the stats that I managed to create for her. And as a result of the FOMO that I generated, she managed to convert some people from the challenge to members of her membership community. Now, this is not about me though. This is all about you and how you guys can harness live tweeting to generate generate FOMO for your business. So we're going to start with what is live tweeting. We're going to talk about what is FOMO and who can live tweeting generate FOMO for. We're also going to get you started. I'll give you 8 FOMO ideas, and then we'll look at some live tweeting tools that I sometimes use when I'm tweeting, followed by a few case studies of where I've generated prospects for clients, generated customers for clients, and also generated customers for myself as well. And then right at the end, we've got a live Q&A. So what is live tweeting? If you were to Google it, this is what will come up. It will say live tweeting is where you post comments about an event on the social media application Twitter whilst the event is taking place. Now, what can you live tweet? Well, there's loads of things you can live tweet. You can live tweet a conference, such as the Social Pulse Summit. If you are listening to a recording, you can definitely live tweet that. live tweet blog posts, LinkedIn articles, YouTube videos. I listen to podcasts, and whilst I'm listening to them, I will live tweet. Now, before I became the FOMO creator, I actually had a tea business, and I would actually tweet when a TV show was running live. So this is the Great British Bake Off. And a couple of years ago, I would match my tea to some of the desserts that were being created. My travel agent, she would live tweet during travel shows to give more publicity for her travel agency. And you can also live tweet during Twitter chats as well to start building relationships with people. Live tweeting can help you with building or reigniting your brand. So I started my business in 2009. A year later, I moved to Australia. I was there for 6 years before I came back to the UK in 2016. So that's nearly 4 years ago. And so because I was away from the UK for 6 years, my tea brand, or MayKing Tea Twitter account, was effectively dead in the UK. So I had to reignite my brand. I can establish and deepen relationships, and you guys can too. So if you haven't used Twitter in a while, don't worry. You can kickstart your Twitter account just by live tweeting, which is what I did 4 years ago. And you can establish relationships, you can deepen relationships, you can create new relationships. Now, I always encourage people when they're live tweeting to create content for the lurkers. If you've listened to a lot of social media experts, they will tell you, don't get obsessed with the followers. It doesn't matter how many followers you have, how many fans you have, how many connections you have on LinkedIn. Just create great content, because there will be a lot of people who are lurking. And if I asked you to put your hands up, those of you who lurk, I am sure 90% of you would be putting your hands up right now. We've all done it. We've all had a look on the phone, and we've scrolled upwards and moved on to the next thing. We've looked at a blog post, but have we liked that blog post? Have we commented? Have we actually said to the writer, thank you so much for your video, it was incredible? We don't do it for everything that we consume. And so if you are doing that, chances are your prospects and your potential clients are also doing that as well. So if you create really good content, if you share really good content for the lurkers, you will be showcasing your authority, you'll gain publicity, and this is where the FOMO starts, which enables you then to garner prospects and convert them into clients. Now, live tweeting, we just talked about. What is FOMO? FOMO means the fear of missing out. And again, if you were to Google it, it would say it is anxiety that an exciting or interesting event may currently be happening elsewhere, often aroused by posts seen on social media. Now, in the business world, FOMO is a good thing. You want to get so excited about your product, about your business, about your service, about your new challenge, about your conference, about your event, your festival, whatever it is you're promoting. You want to create so much buzz and excitement, and you want people to create so much buzz and excitement that the lurkers are thinking, oh my goodness, everyone's having a good time there. I need to book onto the next course. I need to book onto the next challenge. I need to buy their product. I need their service. So in a business context, creating buzz and excitement and FOMO is a good thing. And I've been tweeted in the past where people have said to me, MayKing, FOMO? I don't want FOMO. I want JOMO. But do you? Do you want the joy of people missing out on your business? No, absolutely not. So, to iterate again, creating buzz and excitement and FOMO is a good thing in business, and I can help you with that, and you can help yourselves with that with live tweeting. Now, FOMO is really the bridging together. It bridges a gap between social media and PR. And if we talk about it in a science terms, okay, we've got a brain, well, hopefully we've all got a brain. And FOMO is a feeling. FOMO is that angst and anxiety. FOMO is fear, it's happiness, it's excitedness. And when people have that feeling, you want them to, you want to create that happy feeling, that anxious feeling, so that they go and buy your product and your service or your challenge or your conference. But it cannot exist by itself. If you've not done any marketing, if you've not emailed your subscribers, if you've not created great value, put on your website, your blog posts and so on, it's not going to work. So your logical brain, let's supposing that you go into a shop. Now, I love hats, okay? So let's supposing I walk into a shop, I see this gorgeous hat, and I think, oh my gosh, I've got to buy it. That's a feeling. And I may not want to buy it based on certain conditions. So it could be I look at the price point, and if I'm looking at the price point and being put off by it, then that's a logical bit of the brain, the neocortex, that's actually popping in. So I need to convince myself that I actually need this hat. And so your marketing and your social media and you talking to your clients and educating people, you are helping or encouraging the logical brain to move over to the primal bits, the FOMO, the feeling bit. Now, in addition to the logical brain, you've got the social brain, and that's the community aspects. Us humans love to belong to a group, and it might be that I've seen this hat, I've seen it designed by a designer, and I absolutely love the designer. And so if they've got good PR, if the company has got good PR and I've got a good feeling about it, then I will want to buy it, okay? But if I don't know anything about the brand, I don't know if they are a good brand, and I think that it's expensive and I can't justify it to myself, then I'm not going to get FOMO. So this is where FOMO bridges the gap between social media. You need to create good content. You need to share good content, showcase that you're an authority in your field. You need to create buzz and excitement, or have existing clients create buzz and excitement for you, so that those lurkers could become clients or prospects in the very least. Now, live tweeting can generate FOMO for conference organizers, sponsors, speakers, attendees, people who are not sponsoring but are attending, and also people who are not even attending a conference. So I'm going to break that down a little bit further. So live tweeting, you can actually do this before, during, and after an event. Before, I call this pre-FOMO. During, I call this live FOMO. And after, I call this post-FOMO. So this is an example of a conference that was held early this year on April. I was in amongst some incredible speakers there. You can see me then in the middle there. And with Agora Pulse UK Ireland, who created this conference, you can see this whole host of speakers that I can actually learn from. So what I intend to do, and you can still register for this conference right now, is go onto this website, whatsupsocial.co.uk, and I can listen to one of the recordings and I can live tweet it. So this is what's known as post-FOMO. When a conference is going ahead, of course, I can live tweet that. So whilst I'm listening to, other speakers at the Social Pulse Summit Twitter version, I will be live tweeting on behalf of Agora Pulse and tweeting on my own account as well, MayKing T. But even before the event has happened, I was tweeting and engaging with people who were coming to the Social Pulse Summit or any other conference, and you can also create that buzz and excitement as well. So that's pre-FOMO. Live tweeting can definitely generate FOMO for conference organizers, as I have said. And with Agora Pulse, they hired me to be their professional live tweeter and FOMO creator early this year for the LinkedIn edition. So here's me interviewing Deb Eckling. She's also one of the speakers at the Twitter edition of the Social Pulse Summit. So go and check out her talk. And you can see that after producing a report, Agora Pulse and MayKing T, Agora Pulse wanted me to tweet on my own account as well as theirs, and so collectively I generated 326 tweets for that conference, because I was also interviewing and writing blog posts as well. And you can see how many people we reached, 2.6 million. That was just the two of us, and then there's all the other people who tweeted. So when you're attending a conference, or if you are a conference organizer, you can hire a professional live tweeter to build your brand, establish relationships, create new ones, deepen relationships, showcase your authority, share great content, share content for the lurkers basically. That will enable you to gain publicity and garner prospects for people who have FOMO and possibly convert them into clients. When you hire a live tweeter for a conference, you can definitely generate FOMO. So the fabulous Andrew and Pete, who I mentioned, they hired me last year and they also hired me this year as well. So for Atomicon 19 last year, I tweeted on their account and on my own. And together we produced 1,200 tweets. Excuse me. And we reached 28 million people that day. And I trended on the same day as International Women's Day. As well as tweeting, I also interview people, and this is Victoria, who I was interviewing. I also went on Facebook Live, and I also interviewed attendees and sponsors. We went on Instagram stories as well on Andrew and Pete's account. Now, as a result of all the buzz and excitement of the conference that we put out onto Twitter and the other platforms as well, we created FOMO, because as you can see here, a lady, a member of Atomicon, so Andrew and Pete have a membership called Atomicon, sorry, the Atomic membership, and one of the members asked, why did you sign up for Atomicon 2020? So that's the conference that happened this year, which was a virtual affair. And you can see here that Sarah Stiffen, who is a social media strategist and helps to launch your campaign, she said she followed Andrew and Pete for a while, and she was connected to Twitter and LinkedIn, and people raved about it, and she got FOMO basically, and that's why she booked on. And Catherine Williams actually said she joined the Atomic membership after going to Atomicon 20. She didn't go to the conference Atomicon 19, but she got major FOMO as a result of seeing everyone talk about it, and that's why she just had to get her ticket for the virtual conference this year. So FOMO works for conference organizers, and when you hire a FOMO creator specifically to live tweet and create live content across all the socials, magic happens. And you can see with Andrew and Pete, 425 tickets were sold in the first week for their conference for this year. And part of that was to do with the social media, part of that was to do with the PR, some of it was to do with the FOMO that I generated on their behalf. Live tweeting can definitely work to generate FOMO for sponsors as well. So Agorapulse UK Ireland, they were sponsoring the Linking Out Club. It is by Sarah Clay Social. She has this networking event where she has an incredible speaker, and then we have the opportunity to network with each other, and she runs a competition, and the competition winners get to be interviewed by me. And all the content that we put out onto Twitter and the other socials, we would say that it's also sponsored by Agora Pulse as well. So within the hour, when we were at the Linking Out Club, I managed to tweet 22 times on behalf of UK IRL, Agorapulse, and also on my own account as well. So 55 tweets in an hour. I also created a LinkedIn post with that, which was published onto Sarah Clay's LinkedIn profile. So live tweeting can also generate FOMO for speakers as well. So if you've been to a conference, you've registered for the conference, especially as a lot of them are virtual right now, listen to the speakers, generate FOMO for your own business by live tweeting them, because you are sharing great information to your followers. You are sharing great information to your lurkers, and you never know when someone wants to get into a conversation with you. Or if someone likes your tweet and you think, oh, they are potentially a great customer for me, then you can start a relationship with them. So remember, build your brand, establish relationships, deepen new ones, create new ones and deepen existing ones. Showcase your authority by live tweeting. That gives you more publicity. That can help you to garner more prospects and gain more clients. And that's what I've done. So I tweet my own sessions where I've spoken at other events, and I will also live tweet other speakers as well. I always tag them. So when I'm tweeting other speakers, I always tag them. They're going to love it. And you never know, if they like my tweet and I engage in a conversation with them, their followers might see my name and then they may start to follow me. So this is how live tweeting can work for speakers. Live tweeting can also generate FOMO for attendees. So last year, again, when we were allowed to go out and play, I was the official FOMO creator for Janet Murray, who had a conference held in London called Build Your Audience. So I think on the day one of the conference or the morning of the conference, I tweeted on her behalf, Facebook to Instagram, took over her account for a day, and so we reached 6 million people. I think in the end we managed to reach 31 million in total for this particular conference. But attendees were also gaining visibility for themselves. So Tim from Stone and Press, Mahmood Reza, who actually spoke at this year's conference for Janet Murray, and Anita Wong as well. So they tweeted other speakers who were at the conference, and they created publicity for themselves. You can also generate FOMO by live tweeting if you're attending an event, and also if you're not sponsoring the event. So Content Cal, they are a scheduling tool. They hired me to tweet for some of the time that they were at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. This was the last conference I went to before lockdown happened. So I tweeted on my own account. I also tweeted on Content Cal as well. And I also interviewed one of the co-founders of Content Cal there as well. And we published that onto Twitter, onto Instagram and Facebook as well. So even if you're attending an event and you were thinking of sponsoring the event, you can, it is possible to not sponsor it, but still gain visibility for yourself. And that's what I did for Content Cal there. Now, you can also generate FOMO as an attendee, and also if you're not attending as well, which is what some of these people did. So again, in Social Media Marketing World in San Diego this year, SMMW20, I was the top tweeter. I think this was day 2. And then some of these people that I've highlighted, they're all speakers at this year's Twitter edition of the Social Pulse Summit. So do go and check out their talks. We've got Natalie, Jim, Dan and Christine there. Some of those people didn't even attend the San Diego gig, but they still tweeted and still gained more publicity for themselves. So even when you know a conference is happening, you can register for it. And if you don't register for it, you can search on the hashtag and get involved in conversations and gain more publicity for yourselves. How cool is that? Now, FOMO is not exclusive to live tweeting. You can also create FOMO on LinkedIn. So this is an example of me. When I did that interview with the Linking Out Club that was sponsored by Agora Pulse, I then created a blog post which I gave to Sarah Clay, who's the founder of the Linking Out Club, and then I shared that on my account as and added some more text on it. So I created a LinkedIn post. Now, as a result of me creating that LinkedIn post and sharing Sarah's original post, people registered and they booked on as a result. Now, I also, to gain more visibility for that post, I also shared it onto Twitter as well. Now, FOMO can also work on Instagram, guys. It can work on all the social media platforms. Rachel Spencer, she has a business, a membership, where she can help pet businesses gain more publicity for their business. So she can get pet businesses onto television, onto radio, onto newspapers, magazines, and she's just absolutely brilliant. She's an ex-journalist. She created FOMO for her membership. She's Instagrammed this post, and as a result of people seeing that post, she actually signed up 2 members. What I want to say, though, is that FOMO works in conjunction with social media and PR. So the 2 people who signed up to her membership, they didn't sign up because they saw this one post. They signed up because they were lurking on her content for a while. They may have listened to her on her podcast. They may have watched her Instagram post. They may subscribe to her email list and read her emails. And just one thing tipped them over, and it just happened to be this workbook. And I actually repurposed that onto Twitter for her as well, and it gained a bit more visibility for her as well. So FOMO can work on all the platforms. This is one final thing. So a lady, Shelley Hutchinson, she had an online challenge to help people to get more savvy with LinkedIn. So I interviewed a winner of the LinkedIn Leads on Tap Challenge. We put it on YouTube. She also used that same video put it into a Facebook ad to talk about that. And we also repurposed that and put it onto Twitter as well. So FOMO can be generated on all the platforms. But let's go back to Twitter, because as well as live tweeting, you can also get engaged in a Twitter chat and then maybe repurpose the content onto other platforms, which is what I did. So Madeline Sklar, another speaker at the Social Pulse Summit, Twitter edition, she asked me to be a guest on her Twitter chat. I answered 7 questions, 8 questions I think it was, but I added videos underneath them. And then with those videos, I actually put them into my Instagram feed, added them as stories, added them onto IGTV as well. So by initially engaging with the Twitter chat, I eventually gained more publicity for myself, and then Madeline eventually asked me to become guest speaker. I was so starstruck when she asked me. Actually 2 years ago in San Diego, social media marketing world, I saw her and I was just she was a celebrity, a rock star to me. I couldn't even go over and say hello. I was just too starstruck. And then 2 years later, she asked me to go on a Twitter chat and also be interviewed on a podcast as well. But this is all because I created publicity for myself. And so you can definitely do that too. So when you live tweet or get involved in a Twitter chat, you can definitely repurpose your content onto other platforms as well. Now, I love this quote by Muhammad Ali. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. And I say this because I don't want you to be British about it. If you've got something to showcase, if you tell the world how amazing you are and you've got the stats to prove it, do it. Don't be British about it. So I can say that I helped Andrew and Pete sell 450 tickets within the space of a week as a result of my FOMO creating. And you guys, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, showcase what you do on social media and tell the world about it. Don't be British about it. Just do it. Because if you've got the stats to back it up, then you should be telling the world. Because if you don't tell the world how amazing you are, then nobody else will. Okay, live tweeting. Let's get started with 8 FOMO ideas. Before we get started though, you obviously need a few technical bits and pieces. So if you're at an in-person conference, I always make sure my mobile is fully charged. I always make sure that I've got a charger, power banks, and also I tend to use my own Wi-Fi, but if I'm overseas, I need to get an extra implement in order to use a Wi-Fi on my little implement thing. Sorry, I'm not very technical, don't know the technical word for it. I tend to use a hashtag for the conference and add that into my notes, or because I have an iPhone, they've got this thing called keyboard replacement. So on this occasion, I can type in hashtag SPS, hit my space, and it will automatically place Social Pulse Summit into my tweet. So it just shaves off a few nanoseconds so that I can tweet a little bit quicker. And I tend to put a Twitter list on of the speakers and sponsors, or I'll have on my notes document on my phone, a list of the Twitter handles there. Now, at a virtual conference, I'll always make sure my computer's backed up. I make sure I have my plug point, I'm near a plug point, and I'll also use my smartphone, have my smartphone nearby as backup as well. Similar to an in-person conference, I'll have the hashtag in a Google Doc. Or my friend Tim from Stone and Press, who I mentioned before, he actually has a training program, which you can have a look at the details of, where it's very similar to the keyboard replacement that I talked about on your smartphone, but this does it on your desktop as well. So you can type in a few letters and it'll replace it with something. Just shaves off a few nanoseconds for when you are tweeting. And when I'm tweeting from my computer, I tend to have a list of the speakers and sponsors in a Word doc or a Google Doc. I always make sure, doesn't matter which conference I'm at, whether it's in person or virtual, I always make sure I have lots of tea with me. And then you're set. You're ready to tweet. So now let's start with the 8 ideas on what you can live tweet about then. So pre-FOMO, Actually tell the world that you're going to the conference. When you tell the world that you're going to a conference, it is a big deal. So spread the word. Make sure you tag the conference organizer. Or if you're going, participating in a challenge, tell the world that you're participating in the challenge and spread the love for the challenge organizer. Because you never know, if the conference organizer or the challenge organizer sees your tweet, then they may like it, they may engage. You can start in a conversation, and when people are lurking on your stuff, you never know who's watching. Okay, you want to try and get into a conversation. Definitely tweet with a GIF, link, photo, or video. Definitely add the hashtag. These are the kind of things that you can live tweet about. Number 2, talk about your journey. I love going down to London, and I love at London St Pancras, they've got this gorgeous sculpture of a couple, saying their goodbyes. I think it's beautiful. I think love conquers all. And so I love tweeting about that picture whenever I'm in London. When I go to San Diego, I'll take a picture of my, my flight tickets, just to, get all excited about a conference that I'm going to. Or, I went to Amsterdam and I created FOMO for a conference there. So, I would talk about how I got to Amsterdam. When you're at a virtual conference, do a selfie beside a computer if you want to, or do a picture like this so you can see I'm hydrating. I've got my tea there, I've got my smartphone wired up just in case. I've got my earpods, my headphones, and I've got a pen and paper just in case as well. Number 3, search on your hashtag and retweet, like in the very least, but to gain more publicity for you, definitely comment on it as well. Okay, so I've mentioned Neil, he's one of the speakers. Julia is also a speaker today, and she talked about how she's excited about being, the next after Jessica Phillips. And I love Jessica Phillips. She's incredible. I've never heard Julia before, so I'm looking forward to hearing her talk. So I did a reply, and I liked her tweet as well. Maybe I could get into a conversation with her. Maybe someone can see the fact that I've liked and commented and is liking on my tweet. This is how you can get involved in a hashtag. It's selfie time. This is one of the great ways in which you can create publicity for yourself. At an in-person conference, definitely, take a selfie. This is Stone and Press again, my dear friend Tim. And then virtually at a conference, take a screenshot of the Zoom or whatever you're using and tweet about it. Number 5, tag, don't spam. So this is at an in-person conference. I talked about the Linking Out Club, which is by the fabulous Sarah Clay. And she had the fabulous speaker, Biz Paul, who also has his own conference called Marketed Live. And this is my favorite t-shirt, Eat, Sleep, Tweet, Repeat. And, someone took this photo and we all tagged each other. It was wonderful. Now, sometimes I get tagged on a picture that's got nothing to do with me, and they are trying to use the fact that I've got a few thousand followers, and they want to try and get more publicity for the business. So if they tag me and they don't ask my permission, I ignore them. But I do often encourage people to tag me so that I can give them a bit more publicity. Now, this is my travel agent, Kate from Strawberry Holidays, and obviously her business has been scuppered. So I wanted to give her a bit of love this year. And so she actually did a Travel Talk Live festival. And so I gave her permission to tag me in the tweet so that I can engage with people and give her publicity for her Travel Talk Fest. So that's what I mean by tag, don't spam. Number 6, create your own Truman show. So pretend that you're at a conference and pretend you're actually at a show, like a live social media reporter. Up next, quote the speakers, thank the speakers, tell people what your biggest takeaway is, and keep going, keep tweeting, keep going. You can never create too many tweets. And just like the Truman Show with Jim Carrey, you can decide, Jim Carrey's character couldn't decide how much of his life was on show because he was on show all the time, apart from when he popped into the bathroom. But you, as a business owner, you can decide how much you want to show of yourself on Twitter when you're live tweeting. You've got that control. You can also engage with others. That's another great way that you can create publicity for yourself and get more, get more people to potentially follow you. Search on the hashtag if you're on the computer, and then reply on any tweets that you find interesting. And again, there's so many people lurking. So when you're engaging, having a great conversation with people, you never know who's watching that conversation. So get involved. And on your phone as well, search for the hashtag, hit reply, start engaging. And what I'm I'm emphasizing to you guys here is to tweet like you talk. Be a nice human. I put nice in brackets because, you know, if you're not a nice human, pretend to be. Just be really friendly and engaging and share great content online. And then, of course, after you've tweeted, you can repurpose these tweets into a blog post, like Dr. Jo North here. She attended a conference last year, Build Your Audience Live with Janet Murray, which I tweeted, I spoke at, and I was FOMOCreator for, and she created 75 incredible tips about that conference, and then did a little bit of a takeaway of all the speakers, including myself there. So tweets, convert them to a blog post, put it onto LinkedIn, put it on your blog, put it onto Instagram if you want to, replay recorded talks, start tweeting about them and repurpose them onto other platforms. Now, there are two tools that you can use when you're live tweeting. So when you're live tweeting, you can use Tweetdeck, and you can create these columns to keep a watch on what's currently happening at the moment. So you can do hashtags, Twitter lists, you can track specific users or people who've been talking about you, notifications. There's lots of things that you can create columns on. And I also sometimes, when I do post FOMO for a client, is use this fabulous platform called lately.ai. Now, I've created a LinkedIn post. I want more people to see it. I want more people to comment on it. So I put it in here, in Lately. I click on Auto Generate Content, and within seconds, it generates 46 tweets, which I can then schedule across a given period. How awesome is that? Now, it can generate not just tweets, it can generate LinkedIn posts. You can generate several social media content from a YouTube video. You can do all sorts. So go and check Lately out. Okay, let's have a look at some case studies. So from tweeting in one day, I've managed to gain clients. So I went to a conference 2 years ago, Social Day, started engaging with a lady called Lenka Copperfair. We were tweeting, we were engaging. We actually met up on the day in face-to-face. Turns out she was the founder of Cambridge Social Media Day. I pitched to her, told her I'd do all these tweets, and she hired me. She also hired me to speak about Twitter, which was awesome. I was also their official FOMOCreator for last year. And this year I created pre-FOMO for them by doing interviews with speakers, attendees, and Lenka and the founder of Shifties. Now, in Social Day 2019, another conference I attended, I live tweeted, and I tweeted this speaker, Hel Reynolds. She loved what I did. She thought my tweets were incredible. We got into a conversation. Turns out she was going to be MC for a conference called Comms Hero. I spoke to Comms Hero. They hired me as their professional live tweeter. I tweeted last year and broke the internet. Twitter blocked me, and then they unblocked me eventually. So we also pitched together to a BMW as well. We didn't win that one, unfortunately, but you know, you can't win them all. But at least I did gain a prospect from live tweeting, and it only took a day. You can live tweet and gain prospects. I did it in San Diego, so I tweeted, and the people who did the Twitter board, the leaderboard, was Metricool, like these guys here, and I went to their stand because they asked me to. Two ladies were looking at the table, and I said jokingly, "Do you recognise anyone at the #1 position there?" And they looked at each other and they said, "Is that you?" And I said, "Yes." And they were laughing their heads off, and they went, "Oh my gosh, 1,200 tweets." And then we went into discussions with them. And so they wanted me to find a team of people to tweet a conference. Unfortunately, COVID happened, so they're thinking, well, they postponed it for possibly next year. So we're still in discussions with that. But at least, again, live tweeting, I gained a prospect as a result. Now, lurkers can eventually become prospects as well. So these are two examples where I was tweeting, I was Instagramming, I was FOMOing on all the platforms. And eventually, Dr. Megan, she hired me to deliver some training for her sponsors to create FOMO for her conference. And this lovely lady here, again, COVID happened, so she decided not to hire me for this year, but potentially she could be hiring me to go to Australia next year as their FOMO creator. Again, this all happened from tweeting. This happened from tweeting. I spoke, she saw my stuff on all the socials, and she eventually asked me to do some work with her. It took 18 months. So it's not always instant. And also from a Twitter chat, here's me. As I mentioned, I came back to the UK 4 years ago, built my business from scratch, and within a few months, I appeared on TV, I appeared on radio, I appeared in a national magazine, and that all came from a Twitter chat and getting more active on Twitter. So you can gain publicity for yourself, for your business. So that's pretty much it, folks. Here are a few brief bonuses. I hope you enjoyed my talk on how to harness live tweeting to generate FOMO for your business. If you want to know more, there is a presentation that I delivered on how to create FOMO right now, earlier this year. I've got many podcast interviews by various people, which you can find on Pinterest. I've delivered presentations on Twitter, social media, and how to create FOMO. You can find them on slideshare.net. I want to end on one thing. You can harness live tweeting to generate FOMO for your business by building your brand, creating new relationships, establishing new relationships, create content for the lurkers, will give you publicity. It can showcase your authority, garner prospects, and also convert clients. So let's together create content for the lurkers. Let's create FOMO. And if you've got any questions, I will be available on Twitter, of course. You can find me on MayKing T and on all these socials. I've got a YouTube channel, FOMOCreator. I'm also on LinkedIn as well. And I just thought I'd say hello, goodbye. But please, if you've got any questions at all, please do not hesitate to contact me. I hope you enjoyed this session. And why not live tweet me? If you've got any questions, do let me know. You can DM me or you can tweet me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of the Social Pulse Summit.